Okay, yay, I'm alive, and let me ask you this. If you were to make the worst hardstyle song, how would you do it? Well, today we're gonna try just that. There are lots of subgenres of hardstyle, so in this video we'll be mainly referring to the more euphoric and mainstream type at 150 BPM. Euphoric hardstyle is usually defined as hardstyle that is less raw and has more of an uplifting and emotional melody or theme. The lead often uses the 6th or the 7th note of a minor scale to make it feel emotional. Sometimes it even has a swing feeling to it. Leads usually have a few layers and spans a wider range across the frequency spectrum. The chords, unlike many harder genres today, carry into the drop, usually in the form of a saw stack. The kick is very tonal, in the sense that the tail of the kick, the most prominent part, follows the bass notes of the chord progression. Hardstyle kicks are usually made up of 3 parts: the talk, the crunch, and the tail. Unlike the bass notes, the talk and the crunch remains in the same pitch 99% of the time. This makes it such that the kick has a similar amount of power through consistency, yet complements the melodic elements of the drop. And before you say it, I slapped this project together in like a few hours, including the sound design, only to explain what genre we are aiming for today. However, this whole thing shouldn't matter because we're not here to make the best, but the absolute worst hardstyle ever. And wait, don't skip to the end of the video because I promise you there are not going to be any witty or cool twists or tricks flipping it into another genre. It'll only be straight doo-doo. So now, since we have already broken the genre of the day down to its fundamental components, we shall start from the top with the synths. Let's plot the melody with a sawtooth wave, in the key of C. As mentioned, euphoric hardstyle is quite emotional. While the key is often composed of the minor key, the theme is still designed to be uplifting. This is often accomplished by the large upward interval jumps, emphasizing the 6th or the 7th notes of a scale. 6-7 often creates lots of tension because it is really close to the resolution in the form of a 5th or the tonic. So, let's make the melody as bad as possible. We must not use the 6th or the 7th, or any interval say larger than 2 whole notes. And also, we'll be doing it in the major scale. For the sound design, hardstyle leads need to be clear and stand out from the loud transients of the kick. This does not mean that it has to be a loud saw stack, but it has to be provided enough space or power to cut through the already loud soundscape. This is done by ensuring that the lead has the appropriate layering, detuning, saturation, or position relative to other elements that are playing. In my opinion, positioning is the most important if you want it to sound good, because with the correct position, softer leads or even clean vocals could easily cut through the mix. So, coming back to the main point, the way we can make the lead sound extremely bad is by using the double mud technique, a term I just coined 2 seconds ago. It is where we make the fundamentals of the sound very muddled by the over-detuning of the main melodic voice and putting the lead exactly in the harmonic element's octave or its frequency range. It may not sound great, it could sound worse, you say. Well yeah, because our lead does not have harmonic parts to make it muddy yet, which is what we're gonna do next. For the harmonic components in euphoric hardstyle, the chords are the last thing we need to overthink about, because ultimately, people just want something that is very loopable and simple. The most iconic chord progression would be 1, 6, 3, 7, because though it is in the minor key, the 7 and the 3 chord is considered to be a bright and cheerful variant. And yes, some people are adding the 9th to some of the chords to make it a bit more emotional, but we're not here for that. To make the chords sound as terrible as possible, we can use a bunch of sus chords, because Among Us, and work our way around the tritones, also known as the free whole tones, also known as the 6 semitones, also known as the devil's interval. We will be choosing 4 chords, but instead of 1, 6, 3, 7, we can do something like 1 sus2, sharp 4 sus4, 7 sus2, and flat 3 sus4. For the synthesizer, we want to make these chords play in the widest and most detuned thing you can possibly make, such that we can mud max the mix when we play the lead along with it. Also, I don't know why, but there is always an octave bass kinda like in a lot of hardstyle songs, so we can copy the chord progression, isolate the bass note, then make it into an octave pattern, triplets, and also shift it up 6 semitones. So here is what we have so far harmonically. Now it is time for the most exciting part, the kicks. In hardstyle, the kicks are the soul of the track, because it spans across multiple regions of the soundscape and glues all the elements together. Creating this type of kick is quite tricky, and many people spend their whole career perfecting this one sound. As mentioned, hardstyle kicks could be broken down into the talk, the crunch, and the tail. And if done well, this is a beautiful balance because the attack defines the rhythm people jump around to, and the tail fits the kick back into the melody. When experimenting with this subgenre of hardstyle, I discovered that unlike hardcore techno or uptempo, which I'm a lot more familiar with, there isn't a need for these hardstyle kicks to be extremely aggressive and take up the whole frequency spectrum, because these kicks need to allow space for the chords and the melody to play. Hardstyle kicks are by no means weak though. They are designed to be the perfect balance of controlled distortion. Okay, enough tangents. I think we can think of a few ways to make a terrible hardstyle kick. First, we can load up only one MIDI track so we don't have to define the anatomy of the kick. The talk, the crunch, and the tail will all be from the same sound, and it will be very hard to control. Then, we will be putting whatever random kick drum in the Ableton Simpler, which is a tool that allows us to play the kick at any pitch we want. This is great because the whole sound will be pitched exactly the same, so both the punch and the tail will follow the pitch. We will not tune the fundamentals of this kick to match the root notes of our song. Now, we want to immediately boost the sub-frequencies of the kick and run it immediately into the most aggressive clip distortion we can find. This makes it such that there is more of an overdrive effect that overpowers all the other higher frequencies, making them inaudible. If we lower the sub-frequencies of the kick before the distortion is going to bring out interesting high frequencies we can play around with before reintroducing the sub after we're done. We do not want that in our case. Now, we want to make the kick stereo. Since we know that it is imperative for the sub and the bass to be mono to avoid phase conflict, we can introduce stereo width exclusively to the sub, and maybe a bit of the bass with reverb, that only picks up on these treble frequencies. At the end of our kick's effect chain, we should add a radical EQ, and do not soft clip it and do not bounce or render it to an audio clip. We want the dynamics of the kick to be as uncontrollable as possible. During composition, I made another kick and played it staggered with the original one, with the reverb bleeding from the first kick to the other and the phasing of the low frequencies being completely messed up. It sounds unfathomably epic, which explains why no one has ever done this before. Okay, very cool. So we basically have everything inside our hardstyle drop done, and now we just need to create a few elements and arrange the track. Our song structure will be one intro, one build-up, and one drop. Just one. No unit. One. So we would just play the melody in the build-up, add the thinnest claps possible for percussion, add silence in the random spots on the track that is supposed to be right there before the drop, and add the first thing that comes up when I search vocals in Splice. And now, a little riser in the front of the whole song to rage bait the whole DJ community, and there we have it, the worst hardstyle song ever. Okay, I think that's enough. I think this song is pretty bad. Would you agree? If you have other ideas to make it even worse than it already is, do tell me in the comments. On the other hand, if you have some sick nasty production tricks for Hardstyle, feel free to also share it with us. I'm already doing the music production community a great disservice with this video. Yippee! And yes, I also attempted to make the worst dubstep ever. Shoutout Green Apple Redo. Please like and subscribe if you feel like it, and hopefully, I'll see you next time. Take care, y'all.